78 Sports TV here. So I'm checking out my boy Boxing Beats and Rhymes page.
Doing it from Boxing Beats and Rhymes channel.
This is Tony Thompson, chilling with Boxing Beats and Rhymes. Excellent, you chilling with Boxing Beats and Rhymes. This is that mere hardcore man store on Boxing Beats and Rhymes YouTube channel.
I don't know if you answer. Possible Manny Pacquiao fight with Floyd Mayweather. How you feel about that?
Well, basically, it's a fight that still has the potential to happen.
Chris Avalos takes on Carl Frampton in about a week and a half from now in the UK. It will be Frampton's first defense of his IBF title. Avalos is a come-forward fighter, leaves his chin a little high up. In my opinion, he comes in a bit wide with his hooks, but he's got a lot of power, and he puts a lot of pressure on his opponents. But his wide shots against Frampton's movement should be enough for Frampton to get through this one. But it's not going to be easy, though. It's not going to be easy. I see Avalos doing a scouting report get outpointed by a Colombian fighter, and the guy put some movement on him and was landing way too cleanly with them uppercuts and hooks and the jab. So it's a fight Frampton should win. It's on ITV. It's on terrestrial television, ITV. Dillian White's on the bill. Dillian White is on the bill. He takes on an unbeaten Georgian fighter, so it's a little bit of a step up, and he needs to look good here. He needs to look good. David Hay is in the commentary or in the punditry team, one of the two, if there's a word called punditry. And we have, who else is on there? Al Bernstein. Al Bernstein, he'll be in the UK, which in recent times isn't new to Al. He was on Channel 5 quite regular when they were promoting their cards. I wonder if Channel 5 are going to bother promoting cards now if ITV are coming back into the fold. If ITV are coming back into the fold. Because we just have to look at the track record, especially for an old head. Channel 5 and their coverage of boxing and what ITV used to do is just no comparison, is there? There's no comparison. They just can't compare to what ITV and BBC used to do. There's no comparison at all. So if ITV are planning to go back to the gold standard of yesteryear, it'd be interesting to see what happens to Channel 5 if they even bother. I used to like when Channel 5 used to pick up them ESPN Friday night fight cards and show them on Sunday. That used to be really good. I don't know why they stopped doing that. That used to work well for me. So along with Al Heyman getting CBS on board as well as NBC, it looks like terrestrial TV is making a big comeback worldwide in boxing. So there you have it. I'm in disagreement with Darren Barker. I believe your window of opportunity, no matter what you're doing, it comes, it passes, you either do your worst or your best, and you can always reflect on what the could have and shouldn't have been after. You can always do that. But I'm in disagreement. Darren Barker says boxing is evolving. Now, I'm not disagreeing with that per se, but he said injury ultimately forced him to retire, and he would have trained differently if he could do it all over again. Well, yeah, obviously you will be able to pick out things that you'd do differently. But he said he'd do things like invest in a pair of decent sneakers to run in instead of a pair of Converse. Because, yeah, look, he's technically right. Not using the right footwear can cause stress on your knees and your back. Yes, it can. It can. Runners specify what footwear they're going to use. Long-distance runners, they don't have the same spikes as sprinters. But it's all hindsight. It's all hindsight. He said he would have cut back on his running earlier on. Well, Brian Rose, from what I read last year, he's not able to run, so he does swimming, he does all this alternative stuff, and he hasn't made it at world level. He hasn't even really made it a European. No disrespect to the guy, but I'm just pointing out that thinking you can just have everything in place like that, it doesn't work in life. You become who you are in spite of what you didn't have, as well as what you did have. And that's how it works. That's how it works, you know. That's actually what gets you over the hump. You know, like, yes, okay, let's say you take the Converse sneakers and you didn't buy proper running shoes. Yes, let's say if you do that. And let's say the Converse sneakers injured your knee while you was running. Now, injuries are no good, but stuff like injuries can build resolve. Like, okay, your knee's really hurting, but you've got a shot at some title. You're thinking to yourself, man, I could pull out because my knee's really hurting me. But you say to yourself, no, I'm going to fight through it. That's what builds up your threshold to deal with pain and adversity, is fighting through them things. So you can't relive your experience. It just don't work. It doesn't really work. Unfortunately, it doesn't really work. You know? I know a kid in school, I'm not going to mention his name. He was rich. He was really rich. And he had the most expensive football boots that you could buy in the shop. The most expensive football boots that you could buy in the shop. And he couldn't get in the football team. Couldn't get in. He wasn't good enough. And I'm not totally in agreement with Mr. Bashir when he says, well, the old school way is just the best way. Not necessarily. It all depends on how you apply yourself to what's new, or if you're going to use what's old. It all depends how you apply yourself to it, you know. There's no right or wrong way. There isn't. Evander Holyfield, I think his trainer was Tim Hallmark. He was the first guy I knew who used all that high-tech training and managed to make it work for him. He became heavyweight champion, built up his body, and was very successful. David Haye, I don't think he used to do long-distance running. He used to do short sprints and swimming and alternative stuff from what boxers from yesteryear used to do. And he was unified cruiserweight champion and heavyweight champion. So there you go. Doesn't mean it's going to work for everyone, though. I mean, if that's the case, where's the fighters today with strength conditioners and nutrition gurus or whatever with Sugar Ray Robinson type records? One loss in their first 90 odd. Where are they? If all this high-tech training is so great, how comes they can only fight twice a year? But obviously, Barker just started developing a whole load of injuries, which, more than likely, even if he had not ran so much or had the proper pair of sneakers, he would have probably picked them up anyway. Some people are just more injury prone than others. And that's just how it is. Some people can just shake injuries off quick, you know, and they'll be able to maintain long runs of form because of that. That's just genetics, I'm afraid. That's genetics. A lot of it is just genetics, information that you're privy to at the time, and your application. You done pretty well. You're a British champion, an IBF world champion. What more can I say? You done pretty well. You wasn't able to make a solitary defense of the belt, but you actually got to the summit and won a belt. So there you go. George Groves tried to get the WBC to force Anthony Dirrell to face him as is mandatory, but Dirrell got his 4-month extension so he could face a voluntary. He now faces Badu Jack in April, 25th of April. You know, Groves had a world title shot right there for the taking against DeGale. He didn't want it. And now he's going to be left on the sideline until at least autumn of 2015. Because I believe Andre Dirrell, Anthony's brother, is taking on James DeGale in the UK now, which is a big fight. There's a lot happening at super middleweight right now. So George Groves looks like he's blew it now. I think he's going to wait until the Badu Jack fight is over and then he'll face the winner of that. See, all this picking and choosing when you're going to fight for title shots, a lot of fighters are getting away with it in recent years, man. But I have an example, and it wasn't a title shot. It was Alex Garcia, this heavyweight, a Latin heavyweight, who had a decent punch. He was offered $1 million to fight George Foreman. This was a little time before George Foreman beat Michael Moorer. And, you know, George Foreman attracted big purses. Always attracted big purses. Garcia opted out of taking his $1 million purse against Foreman for some reason. And let's face it, he was fighting C-level heavyweights at the most. That's who he was fighting. He took on Mike Dixon, a small heavyweight. Well-conditioned, but he was a punch bag. Mike was a punch bag. Like Ray Mercer beat up on him. Lennox Lewis beat up on him. A few other guys beat up on this guy. He was a punch bag. A high-level punch bag, but nevertheless, that's what he was. Took on Mike Dixon. Second round, I remember Mike Dixon catching him with that temple shot. Them temple shots, man. That's what, I think Brian Rose got hit with a shot high up on the head. Knocked his equilibrium off. Staggered back, and he went down nearby the turnbuckle. Dixon follows up. The referee has to stop it. And you're thinking to yourself, damn, you just turned down $1 million purse and now you're in nowhere man's land. He never earned that kind of money out of boxing. Never. He just didn't get them fights again. That was that. Window gone. And that's going to happen to one of these fighters, because a lot of fighters are turning down title shots. Billy Joe Saunders has turned down 2 recently. He turned down the Andy Lee fight, and now he's turned down the Hassam Njikam Endam fight. I said that in one take, can't believe that. He turned down that fight, and he said he's going to take on an opponent on the undercard of Andy Lee and Quillen, and then he'll take Andy Lee on later on down the line. Well, same thing. What if this underdog you're fighting on that card cuts you really bad or just lands a jackpot shot? You'll just have to take it in stride. And he seemed to just be talking about fighting Andy Lee. No, it's Andy Lee versus Quillen. There's a good chance that Quillen is going to beat Andy Lee. There's a decent chance of that. So I think he was looking for a big showdown in Ireland with Lee. You know, a big, massive purse. And Quillen be frozen out. But no, you've got to be ready to fight anybody. That's the whole point of World Championship Boxing. And we have Adonis Stevenson taking on Sakio Bika. I like that one. I really like that fight there. That fight I like. Bika is moving up from super middle to light heavy. He's never been stopped. He's took them all on. Calzaghe, Ward. He'll take on any and all comers. Anytime, any place. He's not worried. You put the money up. You name the location. He'll be there and he's ready to fight. And this one could be really good. Because you name me a boring Sakio Bika fight off the top of your head. Can't do it, can you? It's going to be fireworks. This fight is going to be fireworks because Bika technically is going to fight Stevenson the wrong way. He's going to walk into the line of my guy's power, and Adonis Stevenson has ridiculous power. So it's going to be explosive. And Adonis Stevenson is vulnerable himself, and Bika can punch, and he's tough. He's tough. He's very tough and well conditioned. We'll have to see if that conditioning and power transfers to light heavyweight though. We'll have to see. He's a maturing fighter, you get what I'm saying? Like, he's 35. So moving up to light heavy is probably a good thing for him now. He's probably not so much depleted, but at 35, yeah, light heavy is probably a good fit for him. This is going to be a great fight, man. It's going to be a great fight. Really looking forward to that one, man. DeGale and Dirrell, don't even ask me to pick a winner on that one. I'm just looking forward to that one. Like, really looking forward to that fight there. That one for the purists? I think it is. I think it is. DeGale is going to have to be his very best. Dirrell is going to have to be at his very best. Dirrell has to surrender home territory. Wow. This is a great matchup, man. I don't know who to pick. I don't know who to pick. They're both highly skilled operators. Probably in their physical primes right now. So I'm assuming it's going to be the guy who can make the other guy fight his fight. You know, like if one of them can make the other one lead while they counter or force the other on the back foot when they don't want to go back involuntarily. That type of fight there. And it's going to be interesting to see which one buckles and is enabled to carry out their game plan. Because they seem like very strong-willed young men. This is a great one. This is a really good one, man. It's almost unfair to write Martin Murray off totally when he takes on Triple G on Saturday in Monte Carlo. It's almost unfair. Because his record, when you look at it, he's more or less unbeaten. There's really no blemishes on his record. I think he beat Felix Stone. I thought he beat Sergio Martinez. However, I did see him fight this guy named Sergei Kamitsky in the UK, and people don't talk about it. It was just an 8-rounder. The fight was a bit, it was a bit close. The guy actually fought Triple G as well, Kamitsky, and he gave him a decent little battle, but, I don't think he went the distance from what I remember. I think Triple G is just going to get rid of Murray. I think, if Triple G is going to stay at 160, and this is just my opinion, if he's going to stay at 160, we can't just say, well, there's no challenges there. That's not fair, because guys like Njikam Endam, they want to take him on. Lara wants to take him on, but he's not fighting them guys who are really slick. He's not fighting. I'm not saying they'd beat him, but he's not fighting them either. Yeah. So the challenge, if you're going to stay there, you're going to have to take on the awkward dudes. That's the only thing you can do. If the likes of a Quillen, a Lee, a Koto, Daniel Jacobs ain't going to fight you, then, I mean, if Ndam can win that IBF belt, I think it's a good match. I think it's a good match. WBA plays IBF. I think that's a good match. But Ndam is one of them dudes, you know. He's not cheerleaded by any fanboys. Doesn't get a lot of press. Billy Joe Saunders said he didn't want to fight him. No one said anything about that. It's weird. Some fighters get away with a lot of shit. Nobody says anything. Nobody said anything about it. Right? He's already said he wants to fight Triple G. But let him get the belt first. If he beats whoever else they put in front of him for that IBF belt, because he's definitely fighting for it, for the vacant belt. He's definitely fighting for it. Because he's called him out already. He said he wants to fight him. So we'll see what happens there. I want Ndam to win. I'm not concerned about Cotto, Quillen, and the rest of them, really. I mean, I want to see the guy who's willing to make it happen. I want Ndam to win that belt, call out Triple G, and we'll see what happens. But, you know, I don't think Martin Murray has the craft to beat this guy, Triple G. I don't think he does. I think it's a good matchup. Can't argue with the matchup. Being the first man to stop Martin Murray will be an achievement. That will be an achievement. And the Triple G bandwagon will just move on. It will move on. He's a very good fighter, good power. But we'll see how it progresses. We'll see how it progresses. I expect him to stop Murray. If Murray pulls this off, though, it will be one of the biggest victories from a British fighter in a long time, man. It'd be a massive upset. Massive upset. Murray is very tough, though. Applies steady pressure behind that jab. And if he can get Triple G on his back foot, who knows? Who knows what can happen? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? I don't think Triple G's got a back foot game. I'm not sure if he has, but I don't think he has. I'm just assuming he doesn't have one. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see how it pans out, man. See if the British guy can bring the belt back. Like Abel Sanchez, he said it's looking bad for Cotto's legacy if he doesn't take on Triple G. And the temptation is to side with Cotto and say, yeah, well, he's put in his work already. He doesn't need to prove himself against Triple G. But that's the thing. That's the thing with boxing. You don't only have to plan in case you lose a fight, where you go from there, where you have to start from, if you have to start from scratch, and what's the damage limitation. You also have to plan for when you win fights. See, like Billy Joe Saunders, he beat Chris Eubank, disputed decision. Probably, you know, he shaded it. But now, he's ducking out of title fights. He won the Eliminator. Now he's ducking out of title fights. Cotto, he beat Martinez. Lineal champion, technically. And now, people are saying you're ducking Triple G. This is the first guy in Cotto's career who I can remember anyone saying he's ducked is Triple G. Right? Cotto's had a reputation, oh, yeah, I'll take on anyone. I'll fight anyone. But now, some people are starting to throw shade on him, you know? Just like people throw shade on Floyd, say, oh, you should have fought this guy, should have fought him, should have fought him, should have fought him then, should have fought him then. Maybe what Cotto should have done is beat Martinez and just gave the belt up. So it's official now. Lee Purdy has been forced to retire. It's a British welterweight. This was after his last round stoppage defeat to Leonard Bundu for the EBU title in 2013. He's had a number of operations to repair eye damage, but still has problems. And he has decided to hang up his gloves. He's lost vision in the left eye. He did challenge for a world title against Devon Alexander. An outrageous challenge, in all truth. Not so much by Purdy, but by Eddie Hearn. And he lost his 7 rounds, but just totally outclassed. 20 wins, 5 defeats, and 1 draw. And we wish him the best in what he does from here. It's hard to see where Steve Cunningham goes if he can't get past Glashkov next month. He's 38 years of age in a division where there are a lot bigger dudes with much heavier weaponry. Glashkov is really limited. In my opinion, Glashkov is limited. Very limited. So it's a fight, in my opinion, that when it comes to skill, Steve will dominate. He should dominate the boxing. Steve likes to fight as well, though. The fight is literally... No, not literally. The fight is an eliminator for the IBF title, which Klitschko holds. So both men are going to want to impress in this one here. I've got to pick Cunningham. I have to pick Cunningham. And if he can't win, who knows? Who knows? A lot of smack talking recently, I heard Andrade calling a few fighters bums. And called Canelo a bitch and the Charlo brothers bums. A lot of talking. He's doing a lot of talking. I need 500 grand every time I step in the ring. A lot of talking. In fact, I'm sort of tired of hearing him tweet now, right now. I'm like, the Twitter thing is getting annoying with boxing. It's getting really annoying, to be honest with you. He hasn't got nothing scheduled on BoxRec yet, right now. And he hasn't fought since June last year. And this is the start of his reign. This is the start of his reign. So look, social media, I love social media, man. And don't get me wrong, I can't get enough of watching boxers talk about their craft in interviews and stuff like that on social media. Brilliant. Excellent. It's great to have so much coverage. But the Twitter thing, no. No. There's more action on Twitter than there is in the ring, it seems. I would like to see Andrade and Canelo, though. I'd love to see that fight. Not sure if it's going to happen for now, though. Amir Khan and Freddie Roach, looks like there's been a lot of spillage since their split, and it's come out in the last few days. Khan said he had no problem with Pacquiao being the priority, but it is what it is. He had 2 losses back-to-back, and he had to change some things in his life. There were suspicions that Freddie's Parkinson's disease was impairing his ability to coach, but Khan denies that. Roach admitted recently he was holding a grudge against Khan because he didn't like the manner in which he was fired over 2 years ago. According to Roach, Khan wanted to be a higher priority than Pacquiao, and when Roach refused that, Khan parted ways with him. And Khan used his disease, used Freddie's Parkinson's as a reason or an excuse of why he'd want to get away from Freddie, according to Freddie. Khan disputes that, saying he was very respectful to Freddie. Khan also said he wanted to get away from LA because the lifestyle was just getting a little crazy. It was such a busy gym. He likes one-to-one, exclusive, and personal attention from his coach. And that's where we're with it right now. Matisse versus Ruslan Provodnikov. Well, you know I'm rooting for Provodnikov. I'm rooting for Provodnikov to do a job on Matisse, you know what I mean? I like Provodnikov, man. I like him, you know. No, he's not polished, but I like the dude. I like him. I like Provodnikov, man. That's a great matchup. That's a great matchup. I don't think no one can predict it. Well, I think people will predict it and they'll think they'll have a scientific breakdown on it. It's just going to be whoever cracks, whoever breaks under the pressure. I mean, it might just come down to who's more fresher on the day. I don't think you can do any real scientific breakdown. Matisse's not scientific. It's not a scientific. But I've heard people say, "Oh, Matisse can box." Yeah, he can box a little, but he can box well enough to get his punches off, and that's it. But he can't compete with no elite boxing skills in the game today, yesterday, or any time. So it's a great matchup. FOTY written all over it. Yeah, more Twitter beef. Antonio Tarver and Malik Scott. That was funny. That was funny. Malik Scott, after Tarver beat Jonathan Banks, I think Tarver said, "Who's next?" Malik's reaction to that was me. Who else could it be but me? Tarver, I don't know if he felt slighted by that, by someone of Malik's status challenging him. He said, "Ain't nobody with a gold beard gonna beat me." With a blonde beard or a gold beard or a blonde beard, one of the two. He says what he said. Malik comes back and said, "Well, ain't no crackhead gonna beat me." So they was going back at it. You know, I think once two fighters both participate to a certain degree, to a certain level, where the smack talk starts building to a crescendo, promoters need to get in there and get them in the ring. That's what needs to happen. My money's on Tarver to win it.